Hello and welcome to Autodesk Revit 2016 Favorite New Features Part 3. My name is Carl Storms. I'm a Senior Applications Expert with Imaginext Technologies. Now let's take a look at the feature list that we're going to look at for this Part 3 in our series of Favorite New Features for Revit 2016. As you'll notice, these features were previously available in Revit 2015 R2, which was a mid-season release for Revit that was only available to people that were on subscription. So if you didn't install Revit 2015 R2 or you weren't on a subscription at the time, then these features will be new to you in 2016. Once again, I've broken these down into two categories. Our core features that are available in all three flavors of Revit: architectural, structural, and MEP, as well as three architectural specific list items. So let's start. Okay, the first feature that we're going to look at is search in the combo box. So basically what this means is we now have the ability to search in our combo box, whether it be in the type selector. Say for example, I select my door, I use my type selector and I say M_D, and then it shows me all the information so I can get through what I'm looking for a little bit quicker. I also have the ability to do this in the ribbon in certain areas. One of those would be under View, Call Out, Reference Other Views. Again, there could be a whole list of items here, so I could say Floor 3, and then it gives me all of the available information with those people. I select Floor 3, and then it's put in. So that's a handy new feature because if you work in a large model, you know that it's very quick for those pull-down menus to become very populated, especially the component one because it's the catch-all for all the components in the project that aren't windows, doors, or columns. The next one we'll look at, again, fairly simple, but some people have been looking for this, which is background color. So we can go to the Applications menu, under Options, Graphics, and we can now have something other than black and white. We can have any color that we want. Probably not going to work in our pumpkin orange background, but you never know. So if you want to have a color that's just off-white, so it's not so hard in the eyes, you can now do that. So I'm just going to quickly change this pack. The next one is link positioning. So if I want to add a link, select it, you will notice down here that now the new default is auto origin to origin. Previous versions, the default was auto center to center. The reason I like this update, and again it depends on the projects you're working in, is because generally speaking, when you're working in a project, the origin should not change once the project has begun. We all know that it can happen, and does. Whereas center to center, in the early stages of a project, perhaps your site has one building, and then later on the site is doubled and there's a second building added. Then the two centers from when you're putting your consultant's work on top of yours aren't going to be the same because the center on one project changed. So you're going to have some issues when you bring your links in. Whereas if you're using origin to origin, as long as the origin doesn't change, no matter what happens with the center of your projects, you're always going to be in the right location. The next one is select host for tags. So sometimes you're working away inside your projects and things get moved around, things get adjusted, things aren't where you think they need to be, and this can affect your tag. So really this feature just makes life easier. When a tag is selected, you'll see a new contextual button in the ribbon, select host. Use the select host to change the selection from the tag to the host of the tag. So what does that mean? I select the tag, I choose select host, and now I see where that tag belongs. It basically allows me to know what that tag is for. Whether your tag gets orphaned, you're in a spot where there's a lot of tags in a tight spot and you're not quite sure where the tag belongs, now you can find out by selecting host tag. The next one is loading families into a project and close. Again, some people think this is good, some people not so much. It all depends on how much you use families. So I select this one, I double click to open the family editor, and you'll see up here I now have the ability to load into project and close. And basically what this will allow me to do is once I load the changes, whatever they are, into my project, it will close the family behind me so I don't have a bunch of open families I have to deal with later. Same as load into project. If you've made changes, when you select it, it will prompt you to save the changes, and then it will close the project. If you have more than one project or family open that you're inserting the family into, it will open that dialog box you're familiar with to ask you which project or families to insert it into. See? No. And then it loads it in. The next one is Model Upgrade Interface Properties, or improvements, sorry. And what this allows you to do is now when you're opening a Revit model that isn't of the version you're in, instead of just telling you you're upgrading, it tells you a little more information like what version the model is. So, for example, open project 2014, I select it, open, and it says you're opening a 2014 project, you're in 2016, this is going to save, and I have the ability to cancel. So I'm going to cancel out. Cancel. Same thing if I were to open a 2015 project, for example. Now it says 2015. Where it changes a little bit is they throw everything into one basket for Revit projects 2009 and sooner. So if you were to open a 2007 project, it says you're opening a project of 2009 or earlier. So Revit 2009 or earlier. Next one is PDF hyperlinks. So basically what this means is when you go through the process of printing some PDFs, and I won't go through the whole process, you select your sheets, you've got everything selected that you want to do, say OK, and you go ahead to print. I'm not going to do it because I have it set. Basically what it does is it automatically embeds bookmarked hyperlinks into your PDF viewer. So no matter what PDF viewer you use, as soon as you open it up, you have bookmarked hyperlinks directly to sheets inside of it. Previous versions, all we got were our thumbnails. So now you also get the bookmarks, which can be handy if you're doing coordination or whatever you have with your project. And the last update that we'll look at with the core features is that since 2015 R2 or 2016 if it's new to you, is Dynamo is now included with the project, and it loads the most recent stable version, which currently is Dynamo 0.8. If you're not familiar, Dynamo is an open sourced visual programming add-on that works with Revit that allows you to do all sorts of wonderful things. So now let's shift gears and look at those three architectural specific updates. The first one is resetting our camera target in a perspective view. So if I navigate to a perspective view that I have. So what this allows you to do, once you select the crop region, you'll see that we now have a reset target button. And when we select that, it automatically recenters the target of your view in the crop. So if I adjust the crop region to make it a little bit bigger or smaller, whatever you want, I now have the ability to reset it again, and it puts it in place. Now, something else that we can do that's new for the features is the ability, again, the key to make this one work is toggle between perspective and isometric views. For this to work, we have to make sure that the crop is on. So we need to make sure that the crop is on. Once that is on, we can go to our view cube, right click, and we have the ability to toggle between parallel 3D view, which isn't always what you're expecting depending on where your view is from, and your perspective view. This works in either perspective or 3D view. So if I were to go to the full-on 3D view, I make sure my crop region is on, right click, perspective. Again, sometimes the angle isn't quite what you're expecting, and bring it back. Now, one other thing that's not new this year, well actually I'll show you the last thing that's new this year. We now have the ability inside a perspective view to use a few modify tools. So if I go to my breakfast area, and I select inside the view, you'll see that I now have the ability to align objects. I have the ability to move objects. I can also pin and unpin objects. So I select move, select my wall, and I pick a few points. Alright, wall, move, and I can move the wall. I can also select inside the view, align, choose the column, choose the face, it aligns. It gives me a bit of a warning, but you can see it aligns. I also have the ability to lock it in place. So that's pretty neat. Now, one other thing, a bonus feature if you will, and I honestly am not sure when this came out, so it may have been available in 2014 or 2015 regular, but it's really neat because a lot of people don't know about it. Inside one of these perspective views, it's really hard to change your focus length. In fact, there's no way to do it. However, if you turn on your view cube, once your view cube is on, the full version, it has to be the full version, you can now right click and increase and decrease the focal length. Hold down your left mouse button, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. So that's a pretty neat feature. And again, I'm not sure when it became available, so that's my freebie I'll throw in for you. But it's pretty neat. And with that freebie, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. Thanks for coming.